So welcome, Sue. It's great to have you here and have a bit of a chat about your experience as a technical official.
Hi there, Michael.
So just for everyone, not everyone sort of knows you like I do. So if you just let us know, where do you live? How did you first get involved in the sport of triathlon?
That was a while ago in the country of Zimbabwe. It always had been my dream actually to do a triathlon. And in 1998, I did my first triathlon. It was the last one of the season and what they called a mini triathlon. And I couldn't wait until the next season started. So the bug bit then, and I basically haven't stopped. We relocated to country South Australia, Renmark. And in 2002, I started doing triathlon there. So did a couple of seasons until we came to Perth in 2004.
Okay. And then obviously now you've become, obviously we know you as a technical official. How did you sort of make the move into being a technical official? What brought it across for you?
Yeah, when moving to Perth was actually Gingin, which is about 45 minutes outside of Perth. Not knowing anybody, I saw advertised there was a technical officials course as well as a coach's course, level 1 cycling. So I decided that was a perfect way of getting to know, other people, and actually did my technical officials course then. That was 2004. But left it or didn't have the time because of my other commitments, whether it was triathlon or, being a mum or working.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so when would you say you sort of started being, a technical official in a more formal sense?
Yeah.
Regularly being in that role?
Yes, on paper it was 2010, 2011 when I did when I redid my course. I'm not quite sure why I did that course. And
you remember that back then, who taught it? Or?
Yes, I think it was Gay.
And obviously around that time, we're really stretching the memory here, trying to go back to 2010. But what were your first experiences of obviously, when you're sort of getting out in the field of play? How did you sort of find it at first?
Like you say, initially it's daunting because you've got all these, rules and regulations and, just wondering, how it all works. And I think I certainly remember my very first time in 2004, when I did my practical.
Okay.
That just was scary. I remember traveling, by myself to Left Bank, which was almost an hour and a half on a winter's morning because it was for a duathlon, and thinking, serious, is it, is this what it's all about? There's not one bit of fun, to it. But once there and once, I can't remember who I worked with, but doing that really, having done the course again in 2011, I guess that took the edge of, returning back to the field of play. And funny enough, I do remember the first triathlon that I went back was Ironman, and you would have been TD there. So would that have been 2011, Busselton?
Yeah, I think I was race referee that year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was my first, field of play. And nervous. I do remember we were sitting in the.
It's a big place to do your field of play assessment. Yeah. I mean, often it's done at a morning event, whereas you didn't you went the whole hog and went to an Ironman where you're out there for a whole day. How was it that first experience of Ironman?
Yeah, it was fun. I was with Slim, primarily in the penalty box.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the far penalty box. So that was, as most people know, entertainment. But I did get out on the motorbike, and yes, unfortunately for a Canadian there who decided to throw his water bottle into the bush well past the disposal points, and yeah, he received a penalty. So yes, like you said, it is definitely nerve-wracking.
So that was your penalty you'd actually given.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like you said, and funny enough, I just happened to be, which I know we don't usually want to be, when the athletes pull in to the penalty box.
Yep.
I was there, and yes, had a conversation with him, and he was quite good with it. He, said he didn't know why he did it. It just really was, one of those things that slipped his mind. But it unfortunately was, quite blatant, and he, accepted it. So I guess it's that good feel that you don't need to say anything. The athlete already knows, he's done wrong, and has served his penalty graciously.
Yeah, so you obviously had a well-mannered sort of person. Not everyone has that first experience. A lot of people actually even avoid going to the penalty box after they've given a penalty, just to sort of like, you just never know how people will be.
Exactly.
So it's good to hear, and that obviously kept you sort of going in the sport. I mean, what things sort of made you sort of keep going as an official back then? When you sort of came back into the program in 2010.
Really, it's the people that you meet, and I guess the interests and working as a team. As you know, when you get out there, it's not only you. You're working as a team, and it's the people that you're working with, as well as the race directors and the triathletes, that you want to be part of that team to make sure, as we know the saying, that we want to make the event fair and safe, for all athletes. At the end of the day, that's, while we're there, and part and parcel of that teamwork.
Yeah. And then obviously, if you hung around, obviously you progressed through the program and become a level 2 or RTO. Can you recall the first time you sort of had your first sort of senior appointment at an event, and how that went?
Yeah, I was given, was a women's triathlon that was held every March here in Perth, and I was TD for that. I think that was 2013, and I basically held that position for the next 4 or 5 years. So it being a women's triathlon, you still got a couple of the top juniors as well as seniors doing the race, but predominantly, it was a fun triathlon, and the challenge there was more the safety, that everybody competed safely without any injuries, but really enjoyed, that. And I can't remember who was on the team there with me, but certainly, it wasn't confronting or terrible that, that I never went back again, because I went back again and again.
So obviously you've been back again and again and been part of many teams. What do you think makes up a good team? And for you as a TO, makes for a good experience?
Like you say, that teamwork is just imperative. And the challenge is we all come from different backgrounds, we've got different personalities, and I guess it's the adaptability, if you are in a senior technical position or not, that adaptability as a technical official, for those personalities around, because we're all going to approach a situation differently, and to make sure again that we've all got skills which perhaps aren't the same. So I guess identifying where those technical officials are best suited. Communication is definitely a strong component that needs to be brought across. so that you are all on the, the same level and that same message is, brought across. The other thing is, which I do believe is, bringing across your skills to others, that mentoring, even though I'm very much a less experienced, official than many of those people that you, interviewed, that one still has skills or experience that others, like you mentioned, might be looking at the, the video, is that they can benefit from, and giving those people the freedom to and encouragement to better themselves and to have that experience to go that step further, if that makes sense.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there's obviously been people who have guided you. How have, you mentioned names, it's fine. People have guided you, and how have they sort of helped you throughout your officiating career?
I guess 3 people stand out here in WA, and that certainly is Frank. I mean, Frank was involved in the first course I did in 2004, and yeah, I mean, he won't remember that at all, but yeah, I was one of the many, there. And like we know,
story about it anyway. So
yeah, so I've just always found him engaging, and I will often, more than often, if there's any questions, he doesn't mind taking a call from me and talking it through. The same with Kathy at the office there, and Shane Burnett.
Okay.
Yeah. And he, probably as well saw the potential I had as an official, and really encouraged me to go, that further, that step further, and to have confidence in, the skills that I do have.
Yes. Yeah, and they're 3 very different personalities for those that may or may not know those people. I mean, it's interesting to pick Shane. I mean, Shane's obviously South African, and obviously you're initially from Zimbabwe, and I wonder whether there's any sort of connection there that you just felt very like-minded or felt guided by him at that time.
I'm actually South African born. We were on work permits in Zimbabwe, so yes. Look, I mean, there's definitely that connection there, but I don't think that was, maybe you can understand certain sense of humor, and comments and things that you're coming from the same background. Yes. And yeah, like you said, you do naturally get on with some people better than others, and the thing is, like we know, trying to bring out the best of people, on the field of play. You don't want to be sticking somebody into an area that is going to be not the best for the athletes out there, as well as not the best for the technical team.
Yeah, certainly. And obviously now you haven't always been in WA. You've actually branched out and gone to events in other states. What was your first experience? Where did you go for your first experience outside of WA?
That was interesting. I never even knew that there was, well, I guess I knew there were events out of state, but how to go about that. And I received a travel grant from the Tri-WA office, and it was, where do I go? And the next thing I saw, well, Devonport, and I think I spoke to either Kathy or Shane, and they said, well, have you applied? I said, applied? What do you mean applied? No, you have to go on and apply. So I think this was like 2 weeks before.
Yep.
And yeah, Shane then got hold of Sue Fairweather, and yeah, that was my first, I think that would have been 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 years.
First experience going to Devonport for you, obviously, going out of WA and meeting new officials.
I knew no one except Gay and Shane.
Mm-hmm.
So nerve-wracking. I know I ask, and you probably know that, I do ask a lot of questions beforehand.
Not a bad habit to have.
So I was asking questions of the assistant TD at that time, and the emails were coming back, don't worry, you'll see when you get there, you'll see when you get there. Anyway, I was asking the same question then to the TD, and the TD said to me, do you know there's such a thing as an events manual, which I didn't know existed, and all the information that I was asking was in there. So like you say, small things like that, you know, people with 15 years of experience might forget.
Yes.
That people coming into that ITU situation don't realise such things exist.
Yep. And that was your first experience of an ITU event?
That was, yes. First ITU event, first interstate.
So you sort of, you went in the deep end.
Yeah.
In terms of that. So obviously, you got the travel grant and were able to go there, but you've obviously funded yourself to other events as well. What was your reasoning for continuing on to sort of go to interstate events?
Well, from Devonport, I just really, really enjoyed that. And so Devonport was in March, and in June, I funded myself across to Cairns Ironman. And like you say, again, just a different experience, but a great experience.
And was there something common across those sort of two events that you could take away in terms of, being at those events?
You're just always learning, you know, and I'd like to think that, the thing is with triathlon, everything is always changing, whether it be location, the technical team. If you don't come away from an event and not having learnt from it, then you would question mark it, because there just is always something. And I guess that experience is just exponential when one does interstate stuff. And of course it's courses that you don't know, which here you get to know the course inside out, back to front, and you get to know the team that you work with, whereas those are all variables. And like you say, I really find that challenging, but as well as stimulating and enjoyable, meeting new people all the time. It gives you a buzz.
I mean, people do talk about that buzz, the vibe, as we like to often say. Throughout your time as an official, obviously there has been challenges. It's not necessarily all easy street. Was there a particular time when you were, challenged? It could be in a senior role or it could be another role.
There was an incident at one of the local triathlons, and Shane and Kathy, and I would gather Frank, they were over east. I think it would have been for the Commonwealth stuff. And unfortunately, it was uncalled behaviour of a triathlete before the start of the event. So the question was, well, can you penalise the guy, because he's actually not on the field of play, but he was on the field of play of the TriStars. So I think I was TD, but I guess just speaking to them, hearing exactly what they would say as well, and how it was dealt with. So that's one of the minor things, but again, just knowing that there are officials at hand that you can call or or speak to.
So you've had to a couple of times call some other officials just to get some advice or information?
Like you say, that was definitely one time. I think it was the first or second time I was race referee for one of the state standard distance race in Busselton, just outside of Busselton. And again, there was a question and competition jury had to meet, but with, something that happened there. But again, speaking, to other officials, that was again more afterwards, what was done, but knowing and working with the TD, everything was resolved. So, there's challenges, but ultimately you're not, and I guess that's acknowledging it as well, that you're part of a team and making that call, to others.
Yeah. I mean, you certainly said it was like you have got that team always to lean on in those sort of situations. Again, you've obviously kept the travel up and been to several events. I mean, we worked together in the Gold Coast World Championships. That's obviously a fairly sort of unique event. Doesn't come along very often in Australia. What made you want to sort of go for that?
Why not?
Why not?
No, like you say, right in our backyard.
Yeah.
As an athlete, I've been to a good couple of, world events, world championships, and there's nothing, like it. It's an absolute chance. And certainly I was very, very grateful, for that opportunity. And yes, I wouldn't have missed it for anything.
Yeah. And what did you take away from that experience? You're working on a team of a lot of officials, more than you probably had experienced before. What were the sort of key things you took away?
With the things that did happen there, the thing that stood out there is that you've always got the backing of your team as well as that senior technical team there. They are there for you. And that was a big thing, even going to the competition jury there with the race referee saying, I have your back. You may not know, what was you were involved in the competition jury at the World Championships. What actually happened for you to be involved? It was with the para-tri athletes, so the vision impaired. And from where one is looking and observing behavior on the swim course, that it did look that it was intentional, that the guide was pacing or, dragging along the athlete. And so that had to look at, and it's quite technical, which then speaking to Ross, funny enough, in Devonport, exactly what had to be done, because even from the shore, I had the backing of the senior technical team, with that. But like we know, racing vision impaired, with the tethers, everything has to be a certain length, and accordingly, and of course the tether had to be tested, the height of the guide as well as the athlete was looked at. So like I say, one has to look at all those statistics, so to say, to see what happened. The challenge is, of course, when you yourself are doing the recording as well as the observation. Which is on the water. Which can be trying to film and it's a bit bumpy on a boat, etc. So, you might have been on a jet ski or something at that time. I'm not sure. But certainly, I mean, great experience to sort of have, obviously, be part of competition jury world championship and have the opportunity to sort of learn that circumstance. Important point you brought across too, that you felt as though the senior officials had your back, even if you had made the wrong decision or
made the wrong call, you still felt supported in that regard.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's, yeah, no, like you say, you're working with so many people. The senior technical team as well, you know, working with so many people. And I guess it's that, and like, you know, with being, you know, you being chief swim, is that you have to let those people on your team get on with what they need to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't be at every point at every time. And that's certainly the unique thing about our sport, is we have such a large field of play. We have to do, and certainly an ITU event, we break it down certainly quite a lot. Can you tell me about the most inspiring thing you've seen in triathlon, either from an athlete or official, or a moment you've seen in a sport?
As an athlete, my first world champs was, yeah, just amazing that you're racing for your country. And I do remember, like you say, you're racing for your country, but the other thing was being on the run course. And in those days, the para triathletes raced as normal age groupers. And thinking I was doing it tough on the run course. And yes, you're running past somebody who's, you know, got a below the knee amputation, you know, using a blade. And it's just like, you know, no, you're not doing it tough, just suck it up. The other thing at the Worlds in 2003 was watching the elites. So that was when, you know, Peter Robertson took out first place, as well as Emma Snowsill. So, yeah, like you say, that combination.
Yeah, I have to ask this: which flag were you racing under? Were you Australian at the time, or did you?
Oh no, definitely Australian.
Let's just checking. Yeah, that's right. Otherwise, yeah, we have to edit that. That's good to see. But obviously, being part and seeing, you know, 2 Australians win the World Championship was pretty cool at the time.
Oh yes, yeah. Like you say, that's and you say, you know, awe-inspiring, and watching where para-triathlon has come, you know, through the years, and then, you know, being part of it, especially at Devonport. But then also I knew Kevin Ferguson from South Australia. So when he, and that would have been 2 Ironmans ago, you know, when he completed the Ironman with Sid.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, I think I was CRO for that. But as my qualification as a physiotherapist, I guess, you know, speaking to another physio I work closely with in South Africa with your quadriplegics and paraplegics, you know, just making sure that everything was all right from that side. Of course, they had every, you know, everything sorted. But, yeah, seeing that kind of thing, you know, done really is pretty inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I know Sid from my time in Adelaide, and obviously Kevin as well. And yeah, to have someone, you think Sid's got the easy job just being there, but there's a lot of preparation he has to do in order to sort of, you know, be there. And you certainly appreciate that. It's not just simply sitting in a chair all day. There's a few more considerations. And yeah, it's great you can sort of be part of that moment. I wish I had certainly been there to see that. I know they tried to go to Hawaii, but unfortunately couldn't make it on that occasion. But
yeah.
But Sid got his sort of Ironman medal, and Kevin, yeah, helped him get there. So great to see. So no, there's certainly a lot, and you've given a lot to the sport and learned a lot over your time, Sue. So it's sort of been great to see you, I suppose, develop as an official. Are you sort of using that now to pass on your experience to other people?
I definitely, like you say, try to, and no matter, you know, whether it's, like I said, I was talking about that events manual, you know, so even when speaking to other officials at Devonport, that yes, there is that, and, you know, this happened, or, you know, questioning them what they will, you know, be doing. So, and the same with the local, you know, technical officials. And yeah, even Australia Day, you know, just asking a handful of officials there, you know, what is their path, you know, forward, because as a team here in WA, certainly want to see, you know, people coming through to the more senior roles as well. It's very healthy, like you say, you know, that there's not the chosen few, that you need others, because you can't assume that we are going to still be around or others are, you know, not available. So, you know, trying to bring others into the sport. And certainly even at Devonport meeting one of the parents there, he actually offered me a hot chocolate while I was on the dismount line, shivering away there. And I recognized him as one of the parents of one of the very competitive athletes from WA, and said, hey, you know, you should think, you know, of doing the course, of which he genuinely was considering, you know, doing the level 1 course here in, you know, WA. So it's that kind of, you know, bringing outsider spectators as well, making them aware that it's really nothing to be fearful of, and you don't have to have any prior, you know, qualifications. So, yes.
Yeah, and you get free hot chocolate in the process.
Yeah.
Always a bonus. So thanks, Sue. It's been great. Yeah, great talking to you today, and sort of getting an insight into your sort of experiences as an official. And everyone's certainly unique, and I think, yeah, people will gain a lot from sort of listening to, you know, how you've gone through the program.
No, well, you know, thank you for your time there, Michael. Like you say, it's a journey that you never know where it's going to take you, and I've certainly look forward to the rest of the years.
Great. Thanks, Sue. Speak again soon.
All right. Thank you there.